Welcome back to day 2 of the Youth Career and College Excellence Summit. I am your host for today's event. I am Dr. Christy Murray, and I am so happy to see many of you back from yesterday. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome today, and you're in for a treat. We had a phenomenal session yesterday, or summit yesterday, and we certainly want to pick up where we left off yesterday. So without further ado, I am going to turn it over to our illustrious guest speaker, Ms. Sharon Stone.
Good afternoon, everyone. And Dr. Christy, thank you so very much for the opportunity to speak with your youth today. So hopefully everyone's doing great and wonderful. I am Sharon Stone, and I'm going to talk about civic responsibility and advocacy. This is going to be interactive, so I'd like you to, when you think of civic responsibility, can you just type a word in the chat that comes to your mind? What does that mean to you? Very good, very good. I see voting, I see rights. Yes. Those are all part of civic responsibility, and it's just not for the adults online. It is also your responsibility, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And hopefully by the end of my session, you will feel more empowered to use your voice to advocate for those changes that you would like to see in your school, community, or in our nation. So as we go forward, what is civic responsibility? Let me see if I can. We just talked about it. It's about caring for your community. Something as simple as picking up trash in the community is civic responsibility. Participating in democracy. Many of you talked about voting. If you're in high school, you have school elections, right? Do you participate in voting for your student government? And then in our country, did you realize in Virginia that you can pre-register to vote at as early as age 16? And you can then get a notification when you turn 18 that you're eligible to vote. And so with that, I say, how many are registered to vote? Very good. And then for those who have not registered, I would ask you your why. So, and then in participating in the voting process and in our civic responsibilities, it helps us to make our society better and what we want. If you've been looking at anything in the news, anything, even when you try to avoid the news, we see there are things that are changing that feels like it's taking away some of our rights that are happening. And so you wonder, how did that happen? A lot of people did not go and vote in the last election. And those who are in a position of authority now had stacked the deck, appointed judges. The president can appoint federal judges, if you didn't know that. And the current president, when he was president the last time, appointed over 250 federal judges, and those are lifetime appointments. So you say, well, what does that mean? And that means that those individuals who are hearing local court cases are individuals who think and have the same perspectives as the person who appointed them, and they are in position for life. Now, I have more years behind me than I have in front of me, but I'm talking about your lives now. They also appointed a Supreme Court justices, and they're in life positions as well. So does anyone know what happened with reproductive rights from the Supreme Court level? So until the current administration, yes, there you go. Roe v. Wade was overturned. And so what does that mean? It means that we no longer have a right to choose what we want to do with our bodies, that states govern that. And so a lot of people think about it only around whether you can have a baby or not, or have an abortion or not. But reproductive rights have a whole lot of things with your choice and how you want to have that child, and all of those things, and access to healthcare, and so all of those things have been decided because some people decided not to vote or didn't think it was important to vote, and those rights were given to a lot of states, and a lot of women have passed away because they couldn't get access to the care that they needed when it was a choice between having a baby and their health. Because of the laws. So those are all some of the things that are happening now. So we can continue on. So why should you care? Why should you care? I've kind of said that in my comments so far. The decisions that are happening now, the federal judges that have been appointed now, will impact your lives more so than mine, unless I get into something real soon. And those decisions, while it doesn't feel like it, just as an example, this administration has eliminated diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so what that was meant for was to level the playing field. We can be prepared. You guys are doing the right thing with attending this forum to understand what you need to do to have access to education at whatever school you choose to once you've done the work. Some schools have different standards for individuals to access. Sometimes it is, if my mom and dad went to Harvard, and I may be a C student, but because my parents are affluent, I could get into Harvard. Now, the diversity, equity, inclusion says, well, you need to look across the spectrum and make sure that you're giving everyone an opportunity based upon their education, their grades, and all of those things that you're working to do. Not just because my parents happen to have been Harvard graduates. Now the executive order says, no, we're not going to look at everyone to give everyone equal access. The school can pretty much do what they want. Oh, by the way, we're going to look at minorities at some of the schools and make sure that they're not getting special preference. We need to see their grades and all of those things. So those are changes that are in effect right now that can impact you immediately. Have you guys heard of anything else that you would think? Why would you care about civic responsibility? Anyone heard about the National Guard being called into the DC?
Yes, my mom was actually there yesterday.
Huh?
Yeah, I've actually heard about it. My mom was in DC yesterday.
Oh, yes. And so I was reading an article there, young college students, first time away from home, going to Harvard. Gentlemen said, we're in a new place, a new experience in life, and we want to go and hang out, in the city and experience the city and do what young adults would do. And there is a certain level of intimidation because they've got National Guard and federal police and all that outside of the dorms and in the streets. So again, these things come about because we have people in positions of authority that can make those decisions. And unfortunately, in our country right now, we don't have a balance of power. And by that, I mean that the president and Congress and the Supreme Court are all very conservative. And so those are things that would impact you. So first, in order to affect change, you have to be informed. And so that and being informed doesn't mean you're going to have to be a news addict, but you need to understand what's going on and how it is going to affect you. And I think it would be very naive and mature of me to think that I can sit in my house and eat and be happy, and my neighbor has lost their job and they're trying to figure out how their 4 or 5 children are going to eat. At some point, my safety would be at risk as well. So we need to think, even if it's not happening to me right in this moment, how is it going to impact me in the greater? We saw the National Guard first called into LA, and now it's in DC. And then I heard the governor of Nevada was going to have them there, and Virginia has talked about having National Guard there. And so what is the purpose of this? And who are they going to target? So those are things, again, it's important that you speak up and share your thoughts. And it's not to attack the individuals who are carrying out the job, but there is a way to do those things if you want your voice to be heard or you want to see a change. Some of those things that you can do is, again, be informed, understand local, state, and national issues. We talked about voting as one of our civic responsibilities in the state of Virginia. This year in November, we're voting for a governor. The first time ever we'll have a female governor. But if you don't understand the issues, you could be confused on the outcome, on who to vote for. We have at the state level, as funds are cut from our federal government for Department of Education and Medicaid, what impact will that have on our state's ability to provide lunch in school before and after, free lunch program, and access to health care in our community and all of those things. So to understand those things, and then back to the national level, the why behind the calling out the National Guard and federal police in our cities. Vote. When able to vote. I said, if I don't care if Snoopy's on the ballot, I'm going to vote. If we understand our history and how we as a people, our ancestors have sacrificed, how much they've sacrificed to have a right to vote, then we would always be active participants in the voting process. And not only at the presidential level, but at the state level and at the local level, because your local school board system can determine what type of curricular that you teach. I mean, in Virginia, we had changes to our history, implemented. So not to tell all of our history, but to have more patriotic history taught in our schools. And that informs what you know and believe about ourselves, So, and then following the rules that keep our community safe. That's can be particularly, I think, important for us as a people, in that sometimes there are a lot of perceptions of how people will respond or how they will look. You've seen in the news maybe where a star goes into a designer store and they're not given the same attention, or someone thinks they're coming in to take something. So if we are aware of the rules and compliant with the rules, then that helps to keep our community safe, but also to keep us safe. And then serve in your community. How many of you volunteer any place? And what type of volunteering do you do?
I volunteer with there's an organization called SUM. The abbreviation is SUM, so others might eat. So I go to like local food pantries or even like senior citizen homes and like feed them. And then also I'm a part of the NAACP at Howard's chapter. So I have like events that we do on and off campus. Like I think it's what is it? Bread or Breeding of America or something like that. And we just pass out food and everything. Then we just did a backpack drive as well for the local kids in the DMV area.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So feeding of the homeless, helping back any, all of these are ways that we're serving your community and fulfilling your civic responsibilities as well. And then respecting the rights of others. I may not see eye to eye with you, but you do have a right to voice your opinion, just like I have a right to voice my opinion. Now, how I do that, I shouldn't be in your face hollering and screaming and punching you, but I do have in this country today, we have a right to freedom of speech. And so in respecting that, I may disagree, and we may have to agree to disagree, but allowing one to speak and be heard is one of a civic responsibility as well. And then we don't know what another person's perspective is if we never take the time to listen. Any other thoughts on key civic responsibilities from you? Okay, you guys seem to be very engaged, so that's great to hear that. So the power of the youth, and it's just sometimes we think that maybe I'm too young, too old, or too something to be active. And I would say that no matter your age, if you're still here, you still have an opportunity because you still have purpose. There have been many historical young leaders, the Greensboro Four, if you've ever heard, have been down to Greensboro. They sat in at a Walgreen Woolworth counter that was predominantly white only. That could sit there, and they sat until they were served. Now, they were arrested, hollered at, a whole lot of things happened, but they were persistent, and eventually they were able to get service in that store. You all we're living in a time now where we have greater opportunities than even when I was younger. We didn't have social media that you can, you see something, you see now today in the news, people, if there's an incident going on, people are recording it, filming it live to show. If you have an issue that you want to address, and knowing the facts and posting it on social media, that's also a way to raise awareness. The other concern with social media is if you don't know the source of who's putting the message, we can't always take everything at face value, but you have an opportunity to share. One thing that my organization does is just to post on social media the voting deadlines to register and when to get out to vote. Just a reminder for everyone. So something as simple as that, are you registered? Do you know that there's an election coming up? Governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, school board members, all of those things are happening in our state this year in November. And Virginia is considered a swing state. So that means that sometimes it's Republican and sometimes it's Democrat. And so every vote is important for that. So have you ever volunteered for anything around advocacy and activism in your school or in your respective lives? Anyone ever wanted a change in the school? I see, is that Hannah that has her hand up? Hannah, would you like to share?
Yeah, I did some volunteer work with youth in underserved communities where I just taught free dance classes, because I know if not school, sometimes the arts are a great escape for youth to just express themselves. So I taught free dance classes, and then I also partner with other people in my community. So it was dance, music, art, any form of art style. We just basically taught classes and just talked to the youth and kind of mentored them of how they could express themselves, not just through words but also through art.
Okay, very good. And is that Leonie?
Yeah. So similarly to Hannah, I volunteered to teach group karate classes to kids in my community. And then as for advocacy, I was part of a speech competition where I spoke against police brutality. So there's a couple things.
Okay. And I see, is that Sanai? Correct me if I
I'm
pronounce your
Sanaa.
name. Huh? Is Sanaa? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
I advocated by talking to the president of the president and board of USA Diving, to help make the sport more diverse.
Very good. Now, definitely advocacy there. Everything that you've said so far, the volunteering to give an outlet another way, that's important as well, because it is a way to allow individuals and writing and the drama, speech. But Sanae just said that she advocated to have more diversity in the swimming area, and that's so advocacy at the end of the day looks for a change. It is an action. Volunteering is helping, but advocacy is to change to a law or policy. And both are important, because if you have not been exposed to dance or those things, then you don't even know that they exist. And then once you're exposed and you go to a place and there's only maybe certain people on the dance club, you may want to say, hey, can you make this more diverse, as she has done with the swimming? And so I think that's very diverse. Okay, and then that's like Karen.
Hi, I'm Corinne. At my school, we have this thing called Black Student Union. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah, at my school, we have this thing called Black Student Union, or BSU, and we have like an assembly during Black History Month. We're just kind of like we have like these skit sections where we kind of like show like certain struggles that Black teens go through. It's not necessarily advocacy, but it's something along those lines.
So you make them aware of the struggle, and that helps a person feel that they're not the only one experiencing something. And then they can advocate for themselves, because often in my life, it's like, man, woe is me. I'm going through this, I'm going through that. And am I the only one? Then when I start talking to people around me, and it's like, yeah, that happened to me. Or I'm going through something similar to that. I just flew in this morning, and a young lady, 30 years my junior, and we were talking and similar experiences, and she said, this is exactly what I needed, the conversation to encourage her to keep moving forward. So sometimes just keeping things to ourselves will make us feel like we're the only one and we're doing it alone. But 9 times out of 10, my experience has been that I'm experiencing something that will make me stronger to share with someone else, so that they may not have to go through it the same way that I have, or to encourage them that there's hope even while they feel like they're in the dark. And then is that Serena?
Hi, yes. I go to Syracuse University, and I work at my school's social justice office as a social media manager. And we basically put out information that the research fellows do. It could be along the lines of like redlining or food scarcity. So, yeah.
Very good, very good. So you guys are all doing great things. When you said Syracuse years ago, probably before some of you were even born, when I was working, went to Syracuse for a course. The government contracted a course for us to go up there for 4 weeks in resource management. And because we were staying on campus, when we had a briefing, a safety briefing, which was very interesting, because the gentleman who came and briefed us, and there were 3 Blacks out of probably 20 of us in the class, areas that he said were not necessarily the best for us to go to. Were the places where there were more people that looked like me than not, and the places where he advised us to go to would probably been the places that I would have been stopped for being in those areas. And so I just thought that was interesting. And again, understanding one's perspective from where they are is very helpful to that. So anyone else want to share how they've either volunteered or advocated? But it is important that each one of you know. Is that Brianna?
Hi, my name is Briani.
Brianna, okay.
So at my club, we do a lot of volunteering work. So I go to Alloy Boys and Girls Club. So what I did, I went to the younger groups and I talked to them about just about their health in general and how just school stuff. And then we also did two food drives. And then we made sanitary bags and we gave them out to the homeless people at the homeless shelter.
Very good, very good, very good. So all of those things we're talking about, remember, civic responsibility, making our community better, and then also using your voice to affect change. And so the key takeaway is, as I've heard each one of you share, is that age has no limit on, or no barrier on how you can influence a situation to make things better. And so that's important that you always remember that you have a voice, and don't underestimate your ability to influence change. And sometimes it's a word of encouragement, sometimes it is a kind act or deed, and sometimes it is speaking on behalf of those who do not have a voice. So a number of you have already shared many ways to get involved right now. The student government, attending the school boards, you have student unions at your universities and all. Go to the school board meeting to hear what they're talking about, or the city council to see what changes they're going to implement at the school or the university. You know, what's the impact of the executive orders that are on HBCUs or student loans? I think it's awesome that Dr. Christie is sharing this information with you, because in our world, things are changing. The resources that were available when you began in the fall of last year are not available right now, but you're not limited. You're just empowered to tap into all of those resources. So that's important. And then to be able to share. So you talked about you all are, most of you are volunteering. But those things that are important to you, you can always write a letter to your representative, and that representative can be at the school, it can be in your local government, it can be your church, it can be your state government, and even your federal government. You can do the social media campaigns. I'm sure a lot of you have TikTok accounts. You can leverage that as a way. I say to make sure that you have your facts from a reliable source before you start posting information, because your credibility, once you put it out on social media, you cannot withdraw it. But those are ways to reach audiences and to influence change. And you don't have to wait until you're 18 to make a difference. You can begin right now. So some of the challenges that you may face and how to overcome, and we've already talked about these. Feeling like your voice doesn't matter. It does. It does matter. It does matter. Seeing someone who looks like me that dances, seeing someone, even at my age, when I see women doing things that maybe I haven't tried or haven't ever done or thought maybe I could, and didn't or couldn't because of whatever reason, to me that's inspiring, because if I see one, then that means that I could be one. And so that's encouraging. So, and knowing where to start, I always say start with your facts. Today we have Google. I can ask Google any question right now, or AI, any question right now. I just need to make sure that I double check my facts. And to validate that those facts are based upon the history that you're trying to get an answer to that question. So, and then the causes that you care about. And then don't try to start big, but each small step. I remember when I was in high school many years ago, our school fight song was a song that was you probably none of you probably know what it is, but it was a song that talked about being in Dixie and the land of cotton and all those things. So it was negative to every African American that attended that high school. And before my high school year, many of there were a lot of riots when they at the school when they have played the like homecoming and all that, because that was a fight song and nobody wants to hear nobody wanted to hear that then. And so when I was in the ninth grade, that we had what we called a Black Involvement Club. And so what we did with people in the school and some of the community members came out as well. We all had T-shirts, and every time they played that school fight song, we got up and sang the Negro National Anthem. And they quickly changed the school fight song. No one passed a lick or anything, but they quickly changed the school fight song. So something even as simple as that, there's a way to impact a change. To just start with a small momentum and being positive. You don't have to be negative. So this is what I want those of you who didn't share this is my call to action for you. Learn something different about your local community, or learn something about your community, and join a civic organization or volunteer sometime this month. Many of you are just starting back in the school, and then encourage your friends to get involved. That could be something as simple as reading to an older or younger person, or like if you like to dance, offering your dance skills someplace. Change begins when just each one of us decide to do something different and for someone else. And if we're gifted, a gift is not a gift unless it's given to someone else. So it doesn't mean anything. If you can sing, if you can dance, you're a great writer. I mean, you know how to do all these great things with technology. And you're the only one who's benefiting from it. If you're able to share, then your gift is truly, your talent is a gift when you're sharing it with others. So it's ordinary people that make changes. It's not the big Oprahs. You get a car, you get a car. It's each people just like you and I that can impact one another for our lives, as Dr. Christie is doing here. So I've spoken with you here for a few minutes, so I'd like you to share with me what is one issue in your community that you'd like to change. And your community is how you define it. Some of you are in college. It may be something from your hometown. It may be something from your high school. You can decide what is one thing, and if you can type in the chat. And so there is, I see that Hannah said that she's advocating for more Black and Brown students to be admitted to her art school and in high school. She saw that not many students look like her were at the school or even knew about the school because they weren't reaching out to the school. So, and then afterwards, that's the advocacy that they went to, did tours at elementary and middle schools in Brown and Black communities. So that's great. That is great. So each one of you, just think about it. You just think about what you would like to see changed, and then what's the first step that you could do. It doesn't have to be a major step, but what is the first step that you could do to make a change? And hopefully I will see those changes manifest in our community, whether they're the restoring of reproductive rights for women, because you all are registered to vote, the election of a governor who will represent all of the members of our community, at the schools, voting, changing things, maybe to changed the laws that have changed our student loans and what's going on with HBCUs and all of those things. So I see that there's several. They're reaching out. Who's that? Brianni says that she's reaching out to several teachers and faculties about the discrimination with PLC going on in my school, and not only with me, but with other students at my high school. So those are ways to again start one step at a time, and to also feel as though your voice is being heard. You have a way to affect change, and that's civic responsibilities. Do you have any questions for me? You can come off of the mic and share your question. I thank you all for sharing your reflections in the chat. I've shared here some resources that you can look at for educational resources for civic responsibility, some for community involvement, and I thought I had put on here I do have where you can register to vote, everything you need to know. So about voting. And even for family discussions, just sitting around the table or however you engage with your family what are your thoughts on what's going on in society? So, Brianni, I see your hand up.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
What other people do you think I should talk to about the issues going on in my school with the racism towards people of color at my school, personally? Because I know that it's not only me, but several of my friends have had some instances where people would come up to them and call them certain names or certain slurs. And whenever I would tell teachers or tell other people, they wouldn't believe me, because I go to a predominantly white school, and I went there to get a better education because the school near me doesn't have the best education. So whenever I try to reach out to people at my school or just in general, they tend to not really believe it, because they're like, no, that wouldn't happen. So I was just like, what other ways do you think I should, reach out, I guess?
So have you considered writing a letter?
Yes.
And
My friends try to do a petition towards, like, I guess, more advocacy and allowing more Black people or people of color in our school, and it got denied. So
you you started a petition for advocacy for them to allow more diversity in the school. So is your school, is it a school that's based on a specific program, like someone said arts?
no, they have several different programs. I went there for their engineering program because it's the only high school with a fully, like, 4-year program of high school. And yeah.
So there are a couple of things. So in your community, I'm sure there's a NAACP. That's a way to get people to help, and to also to educate even the community, other students in the community, of the requirements to get into the school. Because often people will say, if it's a special program, well, you have to have this, and this, meet this criteria to get in. Knowing the requirements, and then knowing that this school is available, just as, and I'm going to forget the name, but who said that they had started going to the elementary school to make sure that they were even aware that that program existed. Now, their principal did that along with her reaching out. But that is something, if the principal isn't interested in diversifying the school, you can work with your local NAACP. There is I'm sure there is, I don't know where you are, but an advocacy organization that's nonpartisan that can help you in educating the community and bring even to the school board. That is another way to just address, and it's just to have more diversity in the school, not changing the standards of the school, but asking them to look across the spectrum, and then informing individuals in your community through your church that the school and the criteria of, the school exists, the programs exist, and that this is the criteria, and let people know. And then you just share with your friends who may not attend that school. That's just that small step there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Liani?
Hi. My question's really quick. I appreciate all the helpful tips and information that you've given us today. But I'd like to know if you were a teenager right now in the social climate that we're in. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'll repeat my question. So I said I'm really grateful for all the helpful tips and information that you've given us today, but I'd like to know if you were a teenager in today's social climate and in like what's going on right now, what would be the first thing that you'd want to do to help stand up for like our rights as a people, I guess?
That's a great question, because even as an adult today, with everything that's going on, I pray for God to give me discernment, because everything, when I see before the election last year, my thing was that it's more than just an election. We're voting for our democracy, and I believe that our democracy was on the ballot. Freedom to all the freedoms that we take for granted, and you guys haven't known anything differently. That was my belief. And then after the election, I was heartbroken, because I thought that America was different than what the America was that showed up at the polls. And so at this stage, where you are, I think being informed and knowing your rights, if you're voting, taking an active action, registering to vote, understanding what the issues are, or what your issues are, and making sure that you are voting and your peers are voting for individuals who support your issues. And I mean, that to me, that's what and that's what I'm doing even right now as an adult, because a lot of adults don't think that their vote makes a difference. And if it were not true, it would be as easy to vote as it is to
Pay taxes.
Exactly. But what I can tell you today is that the states are setting voting laws and everything. And so, like for example, in the state of Georgia, if you're in line waiting to vote, which sometimes there are a number of long lines, and I go and give you water, I could be fined based on that for like interfering. And it doesn't make sense, but in other states, they have taken, where instead of making voting accessible as we have it in Virginia by early in-person voting, absentee ballot voting, and all that, they have eliminated the number of ways that people can vote. And so access to the polls and all that stuff. So to me, when it is, you say go do it, and then you take away the ways to do it, there's something there, and I think that if I was your age, I would be encouraging my peers. Let's get together. What are our issues and concerns that are not being addressed? Let's talk to people. Let's get started in our community with our community leaders. If we don't know who they are, who are they? In our churches, if you're in a town, because there is a myth, and it's not a myth. There's data to show that the generation is not engaged, and that's because in the voting process, and it's your lives that we are making decisions on. It'll take 40 years to change some of the things that are happening right now today, if ever. And so that's where the importance of voting, and then voting in every election. A president can't do anything if he doesn't have a Congress to support, he or she doesn't have a Congress to support them. Our Supreme Court is supposed to be non-political. but they seem to be very political right now. And so New Jersey and Virginia have governor races this year. Those are big races. And then if you follow anything in the news, some governors are trying to redistrict, meaning right now you get representatives based on the number of districts that you have within the state. And whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, they are trying to redistrict so that they can have more people who support their agenda than not in those positions. And so I think that is the most important thing, because then you can influence change.
Thank you so much.
People will engage you when they think that when you have something that they want.
And if I could add, one of the things I tell my college age sons is be part of the change and consider yourself a future political leadership. So you guys are the leaders of this country in the future. And so we need more leaders, more young adults to get interested in the political cycles and understanding how it works at the local, state, and federal level. And so many of us don't envision ourselves as the politicians we're voting for, but we need good, honest, transparent individuals like yourselves who are interested and willing to be the leadership of the future. So consider that. Talk to other politicians, find out what they do. We talked about that yesterday. That's another career path in a sense. Find out what they do, what they love about their job, what they don't like about their job, and how to get involved and how to get into those different environments. So that's something else to consider. So
and to volunteer. I mean, I know that they have congressional interns. That's a way to be a part of the process, but not necessarily in it yet, to see what if you really like that. And they have interns at all levels of the government. So, ask. When I go to the General Assembly in Virginia, they're, I don't know what they're called, but there are a lot of young, very young, look like junior high, middle school agers that are there helping with the assembly and everything. And it's just a way to have exposure. And often we just need the exposure. If we know that that's there and there's an opportunity that we can get there, then we can do it. But yes, being a part of the change. So I also, for those of you, I am with the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. I'm the local chapter president. I'm going to drop my email in the chat for some of those who want to share some of their advocacy concerns. Feel free to email me, and I'll be in touch with you to see how we can assist you as well. So with that, Dr. Christie, I thank you. I thank you all for your time and attention. Remember, every voice counts. You can be the change that you wish to see in the world, and one step at a time. So don't think that you cannot affect change.
And let's give Miss Stone a round of applause, a heart, something, handshake, clap. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal job. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day and weekend to share with our Changemakers. So this has been very impactful. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you. This is our future. You are our future. So I'm counting on you guys.